Hi, I'm Alec, and welcome to another devlog video for my hack and slash game Nesus. Today we'll be covering some new enemies in the state system, big changes to combat, visual effects, and some new editor modules. So the day after the first devlog was released, I got straight to work on a new grunt enemy. The grunt deals close range attacks and has low health and damage, so it can be killed pretty easily. I created this enemy more to test the capabilities of the existing combat system and to tweak the combat system based on what I see. Sometime last year I set up a framework for all creatures and created a state system. So basically I can define certain states that tell a creature how to behave, and they can switch between states depending on certain conditions. So for the grunt, the states are patrol, aggro, attack, and dazed. So to demonstrate this in the game, I have the state information pulled up for this enemy here. And as you can see, he's aggro, and now he's attacking because the player's within the range of attack. And you can see the attacked state changing from attack to attack cooldown to dazed when the player hits it. There was one small problem though. Enemies just walk into each other like they're nothing, and they basically just collect together into like a big clump of enemies like you see here. So an easy fix to this is to just treat the enemies like blocks or tiles, so they can't collide with each other now. And that should pretty much fix the problem. So now the enemies fight alongside with each other like a horde instead of just a big clump of enemies piling on top of each other. One thing you might have noticed by watching this is that there's no effect when enemies die. Only when enemies are hit, they flash red and then white, but other than that there's nothing. There's no blood or anything, so let's fix that. I'm using a modified version of a sprite exploder script, and this is to get like an exploding body part effect when killing enemies. As you can see, when enemies die, they now explode, so it's a little more satisfying than before. Off camera I implemented two new effects. So the first one is seeing enemies and yourself behind trees. So right now you can see the enemies just all huddled up behind that tree, and you can also see yourself attacking the enemy behind the tree. So if you wanted to, you could have an entire fight behind a tree. Basically, the point is you can see enemies and yourself behind stuff. It's a bunch of little subtle changes, but it makes the combat feel better. Eventually, I want to get flashier with the combat and implement a bunch of cool sounds to really make the combat hit, but this should be fine for now. I also implemented a dash energy bar. This bar will be consumed when doing any dash-related abilities. And these dash-related abilities include dashing, of course, and the two dash attacks, which are the dash stab and then the dash downward stab. To regain dash energy, you have to hit enemies, so players are encouraged to fight instead of just sitting back and waiting for the bar to fill up again. There was a dash attack before, but it wasn't really cutting it. So, I revamped the dash attack so that it deals damage to multiple enemies by dashing through them with your sword, with the downside being that it deals low damage. The dash attack is still very viable, and it allows for some variation in the combat. The dash attack consumes 5 energy. Another attack available to the player is the downwards dash attack. It's basically the regular dash attack, but it goes straight down. It deals a ton of damage, but the attack can only really damage one enemy at a time. Basically, the way this attack works is that it checks if you're aiming between these two angles, and if you are, it locks the direction of the dash to straight down, which is 270 degrees. This attack consumes 6 energy. I also added a turret enemy. Here's some of these combat changes in action. next step in perfecting the combat system is to get feedback, so I'm going to be launching a combat demo. I'm putting together a level similar to the one you see here to be played in a playtesting session to get feedback for the combat system. If you want to be a part of the combat demo, information will be in the Discord. Aside from combat, I also added some new editor modules. First is the bloom effect editor. You may have noticed the bloom effect throughout the video. I implemented bloom courtesy of Gaming Reverends and an editor module to change the bloom settings per level. I also implemented a basic sound editor. As of now, you can add like an ambience track and a music track, and they automatically loop. And then you can change the volume or the gain of each of the tracks. So that's it for this devlog. Hope you enjoyed. Join the Discord, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.